Peace by Amanda Bradley. Peace will come when people live in friendship side by side and cherish understanding more than hatred, greed, and pride. Peace will come when people see all people as the same and no one has to live in fear, in ignorance, or shame. Peace will come when people who are needy can reach out for shelter, food, or love, and no one has to do without. Peace will come when people learn to listen and to care about the rights and dignity of people everywhere. Peace will come when love and trust and kindness know rebirth, and on that day, all people will rejoice in peace on earth. It's Memorial Day in Elmhurst, Illinois, the 105th Memorial Day Parade. I'm Ken Bartels with the Community Bank of Elmhurst, along with Tony Cazzone, a York Township clerk, and we're here to bring you the parade from Wilder Park. And we're here, and we're about to see the Elmhurst Police and Fire Color Guard to lead off our parade.
Why not tell you, we got a beautiful day today, Ken. Just gorgeous. Sunny, high of low 80s. Beautiful.
There are a number of color guards that will be in this parade. The tone of the Memorial Day Parade, of course, is a somber one. It's celebratory in the sense that we're recognizing all our past and current service personnel and first responders, but it's also a respectful day and a day where everyone wants to commemorate the fact that we understand that freedom isn't free.
We just saw the Elmhurst Police and our Police Chief Michael McLean go by. Our parade banner for the 105th annual Elmhurst Memorial Day Parade.
Here's the Illinois Army National Guard's 144th Army Band.
This is the second year in a row for the Illinois Army National Guard Band with us, made up of 38 citizen soldiers from across Illinois, many of whom are students, music teachers, or associated with the music industry.
We have Mayor Scott Levin and the Elmhurst City Council going by right now. Elected leaders. There's Mayor Levin. Throughout the parade, there are signs that identify various wars and conflicts that the United States has been in. Operation Freedom's African sign just went by. The Elmhurst Fire Department now has a series of vehicles coming into play. The Fire Department, I want to mention, very shortly will be launching a fundraising effort for a 9/11 memorial at Fire Station number 2. There is a piece of subway railing from the Twin Towers that will be turned into and a sculpture created, and they're in the process of raising the money for that with the hopeful dedication of 9/11 in 2024. And we're joined right now by co-parade organizer John Quigley, along with his partner Ralph Paccianio, who's the other coordinator. And John, welcome to the parade.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody out in TV land. Thank you for watching the parade. You can watch it tons of times over the next couple of months. But beautiful weather out here today, Ken and Tony. A lovely turnout. We just saw the 144th U.S. Army Illinois National Guard Band come back.
For the second year in a row.
Second year in a row. That is
That's
rare.
Really great. We love that.
That they do repeat performances. So we were happy to have them. We were marching right in front of them. So we got all that music, and it made it easy to.
Nice.
You know, left, right, left. Yeah. Made it easy to do that.
You remember those days, I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I do. I do.
So what was the crowd like along the way there?
A good crowd.
Yeah.
You know, not surprisingly, people are looking for shade today.
That's unusual.
It gets a little warm in the sun.
Yeah. Very good. We had seen the interim Fire Chief Richard Dufort go by.
And we had an Oak Brook engine participant go by as well.
We appreciate them being here with their chief, Kevin Fleehey.
And you got our scout troops carrying parade banners for the wars that we fought.
Yep. Antioch Brass Quintet. They have been in this parade. As long as I can remember, they've been in this parade.
Multitude of years.
So we'll listen to them as they go by.
Well, I want to say thanks for doing the TV coverage. We'll next see you guys out at the Veterans Memorial for the post-parade military ceremony. Always a great event. Thanks to all of you out there for supporting the parade and the Chamber of Commerce.
John, thank you, and Ralph Pacciano, co-chairs the Elmhurst Memorial Day Parade.
We're worth every penny they pay us.
And more.
Zero.
Thank you, John. John Quigley, CEO, President of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We have our dignitaries going by now. Car number 1 was the Jeep convertible, Carla Elms, driving U.S. Navy veteran with Colonel Venable, Colonel Brackey, and Lieutenant Colonel Jensen. Car 2, they're driving their own vehicle, and that's from the Army, Captains Laurie and Stephen Tompos. Car number 3 from the U.S. Air Force, General John M. Wendell. Great guy, he's with us every year. Glad to see him here again. Car number 4, U.S. Space Force, represented by Air Force Sergeant Robert Daniels. Car number 5 is from U.S. Navy, Commander David A. Fry, and CWO-3 Tyrone Clark. Car number 6, Corporal Cameron Kasmar, driven by Jamie Gutierrez in a Mercedes convertible. Car number 8 is the U.S. Coast Guard Chief Michael Salviati. That's being driven by a Mustang convertible, one of my favorites, by Jim Davidovich. Chief Salviati from the U.S. Coast Guard.
These representatives of the military branches are decarring just past the camera angle that you have, and then they take their place on the reviewing stage. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary Color Guard just went by as well, as the dignitaries will start taking the reviewing stand stage.
Got a unit going by the Illinois Army National Guard's 3625th Maintenance Company.
We now have our parade Grand Marshal, Staff Sergeant Russell Caforio, U.S. Army, Vietnam. The parade banner being carried by his family, friends, relatives. Everyone's here today to celebrate Russ as a long-standing member of the business community in Elmhurst, and of course a veteran, and we're proud to have him as our parade Grand Marshal today. Some military police vehicles going by.
This is the Northern Illinois Chapter Military Vehicle Preservation Association that are with us every year. It's great to see these vehicles, a great organization. I want to thank Alan Foley for working with us to coordinate this. And I know, Ken, we've said it in the past, if these vehicles could talk, they have a ton of history.
Oh, absolutely. They've been places you and I haven't been, I know that.
Yeah, it's for sure. Look at them. They keep these vehicles in really good shape. Glad to see that. Wonderful to see it as we celebrate Memorial Day here in Elmhurst for our 105th annual parade, as we honor those who have fallen and paid the ultimate sacrifice for us so we can enjoy the freedom and the liberty that we have today.
Supply vehicles, troop transports. That's a number of various military vehicles going by. I suspect that vehicle was the backup in case those military vehicles decided they didn't want to work today. It is a holiday after all.
Or some of them got tired. This next unit, you hear them coming up. It's the Merry Marchers Band. Don Sadowski, director. It's a new group with us this year.
Been a number of things coming up this summer. Of course, in Elmhurst right now, you don't need rain to walk under an umbrella with 3 iterations of the Umbrella Sky Project down in City Center.
Very impressive, that project, too.
One of them just on the other side of Wilder Park. I want to make mention of this vehicle going by. It's the USO of Illinois, sponsored by Alderman Jennifer Veremis, and it has Korean vet Ed Dupre inside as her guest. He's 93, and we're pleased to have him in the Memorial Day Parade. And more signage for Jennifer and her support of the USO.
Another great organization that's been around for a long time.
Oh gosh, absolutely, and all over the world. So. We're here in Wilder.
Just got a shout out from Jennifer Veremis.
We did. Daughters of the American Revolution going by. Of course, we're here in Wilder Park, and the whole area near the Art Museum this summer will be celebrating the art of Alex Ross, the Marvelocity display, so we encourage you to come out and take a look at that.
We want to mention this is Martha Iverson Chapter National Society from the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Here's the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation, which is the nonprofit fundraising arm of the Elmhurst History Museum. They're represented by several of their board members marching in the parade. Also want to mention that their new exhibit at the Elmhurst History Museum, Two Wheels to Adventure, an exhibit on bicycles, will be opening up here, will be very shortly.
We also want to mention they have a craft beer fest.
They do.
That'll be coming up later in the year.
September 16, I think.
That sounds about right.
September 16th, I think.
That's a great event. A sellout event, mind you.
Oh gosh, yeah. September 16 from 1 to 6 on the Elmhurst Museum grounds. So, very active organization, the Heritage Foundation. It's the Elmhurst Walk and Rollers represented here, the bicycle group that went by. The Elmhurst Park District coming into view, and a sign for Courts Plus as well. We've got the Park District Board of Commissioners.
I'm going to be so bold to say, Ken, I think we have one of the best park districts and the parks anywhere.
Well, you go right away ahead and be bold, Tony. It's okay.
I'm telling you, we do. We really do. When you look around and the way they're well groomed and they're kept well, and everybody that uses them, they're used quite a bit. We're so happy to have them and the staff, and we love our park district.
Are we recording? Good to see you.
Well, a little lull in the parade, and I want to mention here, just across the way here in Wilder Park, we've got the True Patriots Care flag display. They have 1,580 American flags honoring prisoners of war in Vietnam and those still missing in action for the last 50 years or more. True Patriots Care does this oftentimes during the year, and we certainly thank them for that, and you should get over and see it. It's quite a moving sight right adjacent to the Veterans Memorial. I should also say, Tony, this is a different venue for us. We're on the Elmhurst University side of Prospect this year for the first time.
Yes.
And looking now, it's a look we've never had before. Looking now into the Veterans Memorial, the crowd is amazing here right now.
We have a big crowd out here today,
and they're everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So
we got a beautiful day too. The weather is just perfect.
And of course, the military ceremony that John Quigley mentioned when he was with us commences immediately after the conclusion of today's parade.
And that's always a very impressive ceremony. Ken, we also want to thank the president of True Patriots Care, Jerry Christopherson. He's the guy responsible for putting up that flag display. He's on the committee, the parade committee, and they do a really awesome job. And I just want to echo what Ken said. Stop by, take a look. It's really breathtaking. And you read about the history of those soldiers at the same time on each flag.
Yes. State Senator Susie Glowiak going by right now. Shout out for music at the gazebo on Spring Road, which starts up shortly, and that will feature among other 6 nights, among other groups, a group called Lake Effect. You don't know anything about them, do you?
I hear they're really great.
Really?
I mean, if you haven't seen them, you need to come out.
They got an awesome drummer, I am told.
Yeah, he's okay.
Anyway, music at the gazebo starts on in June.
June, Thursday nights.
Right.
Bring your blankets. Bring your lawn chairs.
And as long as we're jumping around the community, York and Villette's Farmers Market opens up, I believe, next week. And goes June through October. So get over to the parking lot across from H.B. Jones and to partake of the farmers that come by.
Next unit going by, Ken, is the Elmhurst Knights of Columbus, Father McDonald Council 1911 Club. They've been active in Elmhurst for almost 60 years now. And I just want to mention there's 4 levels or 4 degrees or principles, they call them, in the Knights: charity, unity, fraternity, and patriotism. And it's the 4th degree that you see with what they call the honor guard. They're the ones with the sword. And years back, they used to wear the cape and chapeau, but the Supreme Council decided to change some of the rules and regulations. Now you see them with a suit coat and a beret with a banner across.
Right. Exactly.
Still carrying the sword. And oh my goodness, here he is. He has arrived.
We've joined by
us.
Mayor Levin.
Mayor Scott Levin.
Mayor, for joining us.
Well, isn't this one of the greatest days of Elmhurst?
Absolutely.
You know, It's really nice, that we get this kind of a crowd, and I think a lot of people understand why we're out here today, the purpose of this service. So very meaningful, and I hope people are going to be joining us at the ceremony right after this.
Absolutely. How was the crowd along the way? We asked John Quigley earlier.
Well, you need someone who knows
crowded?
how to count. So I wouldn't count on Quigley. But it was a good crowd, back, I would say, to pre-COVID levels. So it was very nice.
That's good to hear.
Lot
I
of
mean, what we're
certainly
seeing
is.
right here.
It's certainly a strong crowd right here.
It is. These people are the smarter ones. They're in the shade. So those in the sun were suffering a little bit. But,
Yeah, it is a great day. I mean, the weather is just perfect today. It's not real hot. It's somewhat sunny. And it's the first big event for the summer now. People want to get outside, and they're here. Look at all the Elmhurst people that are
War in
that are out.
Afghanistan
and visitors. We have a lot
war
of
on
visitors that
terrorism
came.
signs going by.
Yeah, it's every time, as I'll say in my comments, every time I see these signs and you see the number of people lost in each ward, it really reminds you of why we are here today.
And that's a good point, Mayor.
Yeah.
Even though it's the unofficial opening for summer and the activities and things like that, barbecuing and whatnot, the purpose is to honor those that paid the ultimate sacrifice
Yes,
so that we
indeed.
enjoy the freedom and the liberty we
Well,
have
this
today.
parade is about respect.
It is.
It's about respect and remembrance, and hopefully looking to a future that maybe is a little less hostile.
Want to mention there's Cindy Cronin going by from the DuPage County Board, District 2, and her entourage.
I think
Nice
they're all
to
her
see
kids. She's only got, no, maybe not all.
They are Irish, and so
Yeah.
they have a very
Yeah.
big family. Yes.
The League of Enchantment is going by right now, in case you didn't know that.
You mean they're not, yeah.
League of Enchantment, very interesting group. Their members are 100% volunteers, and their funds that they receive help to purchase toys for kids in hospitals, and they help to work with more nonprofit groups and help fulfill Make-A-Wish requests.
Not only can you dress up as a superhero and have a good time, but it's for a good cause.
Absolutely.
DuPage County Sheriff James Mendrick, his car going by here.
Jeannie Urick wants you guys to know this. Jeannie.
Did you do this just in?
Yes, the DuPage County Sheriff James Mendrick, they're responsible for protecting the unincorporated areas in DuPage County, as well as providing support and mutual aid.
Also
If they're-
run the jail, and those deputies in the courts are his too.
Chorus of DuPage going by. We'll take a moment and listen to them.
They'll be performing, I think, a little later in our program.
Series of vehicles going by now representing the Rotary Club of Elmhurst. Also want to mention, as those cars are going by, the AAUW book sales coming up. That group went by just a few minutes ago. It's July 13 to 16 at Christ United Methodist Church. Big fundraiser, annual fundraiser for AAUW.
And that car that went by representing that group, Ken, was had a very good friend of ours, Jeannie Urick, seated there. Jeannie, in the past, has been our producer for the Elmhurst Memorial
Many
Day
years.
Parade.
Well, there's a classic one going by there.
Yeah.
I would take up about half of a city block today.
A lot of iron there, too.
It's Betty's Beauty Bar going by,
Looking good.
followed by City View Community Church. They always have a large contingent of individuals going by, and this year's no exception.
Yeah, they've taken on a whole new look on their building there at St. Charles Road and York. It looks beautiful, the improvements that they made there. Good to see them here with us again this year.
Well, I'm going to move on to official whatever I'm supposed to do, which
That's
is
right.
Doing your mayor
Great to
thing.
be part
Thank
of
you,
this
guys.
Mayor,
ceremony.
thank you
Nice
so
to
much
see you.
You bet.
for
Thank
stopping
you,
in,
sir.
saying hi. We wish you a very happy holiday.
Same to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Great job as always.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. God bless you for taking my share.
Okay.
Everybody's throwing your cans. See you later.
Have the Persian Golf sign coming into view. All of the signs, as John Quigley mentioned earlier, are carried by scout packs, Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, and we appreciate their being part of the parade in those capacities. You can hear them coming up, but you've got the Elmhurst Community High School Marching Dukes Band coming up, following the District 205 banner. So we're going to step out and just let you listen to the York Dukes going by right now.
This is with Michael Pavlik, director, and Will Ernst, the assistant director. Awesome, just totally awesome. Boy, I tell you, if you weren't in the mood and the spirit, you are now after hearing that.
Large contingent of York Dukes going by, and they're in red for Memorial Day. They don't wear their traditional green. They sport the red for Memorial Day. Speaking of traditions, on June 4, which is coming up shortly, the vintage baseball game will be coming up, held on the Mall of Elmhurst University. It features 1858 vintage baseball played between a university team and a city team. And you can come out for that. It's at 2 o'clock. It's free and it's a lot of fun.
We're seeing the Elmhurst YMCA just passing by. Another organization that has been in Elmhurst for a multitude of years, providing all kinds of activities, athletic events, including hockey during the winter.
Vietnam War sign going by. You know, you can drive around Elmhurst during Memorial Day and you can get the impression that everybody went somewhere. But that's obviously not the case, because there's an awful lot of people who are right here.
You're absolutely right, Ken. On my way here this morning, the streets did look a little vacant, although people were getting their spots ready. All the lawn chairs were out along the parade route and whatnot.
Exactly
and
right.
all of a sudden, it just swelled. I mean, we have a fabulous crowd out here, and it's great to see everybody. Everybody's in a great mood, too.
Well, and
Everybody has a
the
smile.
mayor mentioned pre-COVID levels, and that's important to note too. I think, you know, the pandemics have been officially declared over, and the health emergency, and of course
Yes.
COVID's still with us and probably always will be. But folks are back out enjoying their lives.
Yeah, they're getting more comfortable and trying to get back to normal. Whatever normal is going to be these days.
That's exactly right too. Well, we certainly want to, we've been acknowledging upcoming events throughout this summer, and City Center has music Wednesday nights during the summer to go along with the other musical events that we already talked about.
We've got the Elmhurst Farmers Market also. It starts up June 7th.
Mentioned that a bit ago.
We did. Okay.
Yep. But the Wednesday nights start on June the 7th. We mentioned Umbrella Sky. I think we've covered a lot. The next
one thing
next
we
thing
did
you know,
not.
it'll be fall.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe, but
One thing we did not mention, Ken, yet was the Explore Elmhurst Express, the free trolley service.
You're right.
Yeah,
Why don't you do that?
Okay. The Explore Elmhurst Express trolley, it offers visitors and residents a free 30-minute ride around the lively city of Elmhurst. It makes 7 stops across the city, and this fun and easy trip runs every Friday and Saturday from June 2nd through September 16th from noon till midnight. And they make 6 stops, Ken. York and Park, York and Schiller, York and 3rd, which is a new stop, 2nd and Addison, Cottage Hill and Virginia's, and Spring and the Illinois Prairie Path, and York and Vallette.
Elmhurst Lions Club representatives going by right now. Followed by the Elmhurst Seventh-day Adventist Church. Elmhurst Sentinels going by. Color Guard contingent. Parade's been very well managed to this point, Tony. Very few gaps.
Yeah.
A couple here and there, although it's like we're experiencing a small one right now. But
for the most part, it's been moving along pretty good. I think that's a credit to the course marshals that are out there working it. The York Radio Club, coordinating, communicating with us.
You can hear the Chicago Highlanders pipes and drums. There's nothing like a bagpipe.
We talked about earlier, our parade being solemn. We don't sound the sirens for the emergency vehicles and whatnot.
Right.
And when you hear this music coming up now, it just adds to that solemnity and respect, which this parade is all about.
Well, always remember is the every year theme of this Memorial Day Parade, and we'll take that into account for certain.
Next unit coming up, Dr. Dogs.
There'll be a few hot dogs probably consumed later today, I would think.
I think so.
Vitality Women's, Physical Therapy and Wellness going by as well. The Korean War sign is coming up. Want to remind everyone again that at the conclusion of the parade is the military ceremony at the Veterans Memorial in Wilder Park, which is right across the street from where we are sitting currently. It's quite a tribute, and it has a number of interesting parts to it, including the reading of names of Elmhurst veterans that we've lost since last Memorial Day.
Yeah, it is. It's a very moving ceremony, very respectful. And we invite everyone to join us right after the parade, just like Ken said. That was the Cub Scout Pack 23 that went by with that war sign.
Yep.
Next is the Beyond Shades. Custom window coverings. Need some new shades there, Ken?
Probably not right this minute, but
Okay.
you never know. Right now, we've been getting the benefit of cloud shading for most of the parade, which has been great.
Yeah.
Got a representative garbage truck from Republic.
Very dependable company, I got to say that.
Yes,
Every
they are.
week,
You bet.
everything is picked up on time. Rain, snow, sun. Another group that's been with us every year is J-Dog, junk removal and hauling.
Want to mention when we've got a second that the city's publication, The Front Porch, which comes out quarterly, the summer edition will be arriving in people's mails boxes shortly if it hasn't already. And I just want to point out to everyone who's listening that this Front Porch is loaded with what to do in Elmhurst or near Elmhurst in the summertime. And this is one you keep. So when you're sitting on your deck and you're saying, what should we do tonight, or what are we going to do this weekend, you flip over the Front Porch, you're going to find something throughout the summer.
There is a lot of
This is the
information in
Westtown
there.
Chorus. Here come Reby Storage, miniature Allied Van Lines moving van.
I tell you, Ken, I think that's one of the smallest semis I've seen.
That's true.
That actually
I wonder if the Shriners have
works.
seen this.
Ooh, there you go.
That might
That
be
might
their
be-
next incantation.
Yes. Oh, I like that idea.
Reby Storage and Moving Company. The Elmhurst Bicycle Club coming up right next. More and more folks in organized riding clubs in Elmhurst every year.
Yes, you know, I was going to say there's more, you see more bicyclists out there now and everybody enjoying that, the sport. It's very athletic, and we just remind everyone, just be careful when you're driving out there. Watch for them.
St. Peter's United Church of Christ follows up the bicycle club contingent.
June 28th, June 29th.
night ministry, crop walk, social justice, Northern Illinois Food Bank. These are all things that St. Peter's has a role in. Here is the World War I, followed by the World War II signs.
And this is the Girl Scouts Elmhurst Service Unit number 507. They even have the little tiny Girl Scouts,
Oh yeah.
up and comers.
Those used to be called brownies. I don't know. Are they still called brownies? I'm not sure. I
You're right.
really don't know. Probably dating myself, but that's okay.
History, we call
Yeah,
that.
that's right.
We're part of history.
Well, you know, we've got a few more, I think, brownies coming up here of pretty small stature, and you know, it's a long parade route for those for those steps.
For those little ones.
Yeah.
I give them credit. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's cute. And they're still waving to everybody. Look at that. See, they're giving candy to the dignitaries
Yep.
up on the
Give
stage.
one piece of candy away, eat one piece of candy,
Yeah,
give
right.
one away.
Yeah. That sounds fair.
Yeah,
right?
that sounds about right to me. Yeah, looks like we've got one of these gaps again, but that's okay. We're probably in the certainly in the last quarter of the parade at this point.
Yes. Been a great parade so far. Upwards of 70 units this year.
Well, and the opportunity to march in a parade is respect in its own right.
That's true.
It's one thing to come out, and it's great that everybody comes out and watches the parade, but if you've never participated in one, it's an experience worth doing. It's a lot of fun, and you have a different feeling about it
Yeah.
after you do it a few times.
You're right, Ken. You're right. You know, we're watching, you know, as candy gets passed out and as everyone walks by, either they're saluting or they're recognizing those that are here. And again, like I said, everybody's got a smile on their face today, so they're enjoying it and they're being part of it. That's the most important thing, like you said.
Well, and for the younger folks, they're seeing as they go by the reviewing stand, they're seeing military officers and enlisted personnel from all the branches, and that's not a common sight anymore. You don't see that, and so for some of these individuals to be walking by a general and a captain and a lieutenant colonel and it's kind of, this is pretty special.
Yes. Memories. They're creating memories.
Exactly.
Too.
There's the DARE group.
Here's the DARE group. This is, DARE stands for the Drug Abuse Resistant Education Program. And it's now taught to all 5th grade students in Elmhurst School District 205, as well as several private Elmhurst schools. And their primary objective of DARE is to significantly reduce and eliminate young people's use of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs by focusing on decision-making skills. The information, principles, and skills within each DARE lesson are presented by certified DARE officers. And we thank our Elmhurst Police Department for having that program.
First United Methodist Church went by. The Spanish-American War and Civil War signs are coming up as well. Chiefs Hockey Club follows Follows the war signs that we just saw. Strong contingent of Chiefs hockey players, which is quite normal. Behind them is the vintage Superior ambulance that we've, the Cadillac version that we've come to know and understand, as well as a more modern version right behind it. So
yeah,
the technology's changed a little bit.
absolutely. I don't know if you remember the movie Ghostbusters. I think they had one very similar to that
Could be,
Cadillac.
yeah. Could be.
In that movie. There's a company that's been around servicing Elmhurst and the area for many, many years also.
And grown over those years.
Absolutely, yeah. They put up several years back that brand new building over there on Lake Street with a big expansion. And then they also have like satellite facility on the north side of Lake, around Walnut, I think it is, where they have the fleet of vehicles that do repair maintenance.
But look at the length of that ambulance, Tony.
Isn't that incredible?
What is that? 25 feet?
Yeah,
At
every
least?
bit of that.
I mean, just. That's a big thing.
Yeah. They keep it in good shape too.
More modern version.
Here we go. Yeah, you see the old and now the new.
Is followed by the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, and the Mexican War, going right in that order. Out of order, but it doesn't matter, is a 1955 Chevrolet pickup truck with Harold Johansson driving, loaded with flags and various other decorations. That's a classic.
That's
too.
a beauty. Look at that thing. Wow. I just enjoy seeing those old vintage vehicles like that. That is just so cool.
This is the Celebration Brass, and it's our last musical group of the parade. This is always a very, very important thing coming up here. The Kiwanis Club of Elmhurst and veterans at Elmhurst University parade marshals with the giant United States of America flag.
That is just awesome. I love watching that every year. We want to thank all of them.
Well, we also want to
Presentation
thank
of the
the
flag.
York Radio Club for the parade communications. And we're coming down to the close of the parade. As I said, the York Radio Club's coming up in this orange vehicle, orange car.
We want to thank from the radio club too, Ken, Bill Draham. He's a parade committee member, and we want to thank him for coordinating all of their staff.
Just another reminder to stay tuned. The military ceremony in Wilder Park will take place right after the conclusion of the parade, so it'll all be part of this Elmhurst television broadcast. We're always very well served again by the Elmhurst TV crew.
They are the best.
Oh, absolutely.
Joey Piscitelli, the producer, and all of the cameramen, and
Dennis and
working with
Jonathan
us.
and what have you. It's a great crew, and it's always a pleasure to work with them. You
Nate.
never have any questions about quality with this group.
They're the best. They make us sound and look good.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing to do, too. We've got Elmhurst Chicago Stone, a concrete mixer. Elmhurst Chicago Stone, the oldest company in Elmhurst.
How about it?
And following them, the last unit in the parade, which is the First Congregational United Church of Christ, which has been picking up after people on the parade route, and we certainly do appreciate that.
That Elmhurst quarry goes way, way back to when they used to do mining down there and haul out stone. And they still do, I think they still have the concrete batch plant there. They're still working out of there, but all that mining and everything, and that's all been closed off. And especially the ones, the both sides now, it's used for stormwater detention.
So we need to close up shop, my partner.
All right.
I want to close with just a real short bit of prose I found, which is amazingly appropriate, by Emily Toma. It says, "Remember those who served before, remember those who are no more. Remember those who serve today, remember them as we eat and play. Remember our protectors who are not home today. Remember them all on Memorial Day." For Tony Cazzone, I'm Ken Bartels. This has been the Memorial Day Parade in Elmhurst 2023, and we'll see you again.
Thank you, everyone.
All rise for the presentation of the colors. You're fine. Raise and arms.
Please be seated. Are the mics on? Can you hear me out there? Good. A couple of things before we get started. For a number of years, Jeff Aganoth has always posted our POW MIA flag. Unfortunately, a couple of days ago, his wife passed away unexpectedly. So he wishes us well on our program today. He said he would do his best to have a great day for our ceremony, and he'll be back with us next year. Also in our program, we're going to have a little special ceremony for some MIAs that have been identified. We'll do that in a few minutes. We appreciate you being here, and Russ is the officer of the day for the American Legion, and hopefully we'll pull this off with no errors this time. If we do, it will be the first. So we'll do our best. At this time, I'd like to invite Commander Scudder for the American from the American Legion. He's going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then he has a special reading. We have something special for you today. Commander Scudder.
Thank you, Bill. You okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to our colors? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Sometimes you reach into the past to find out what you want to say today. And I'm going to speak about, I'm going to give the Gettysburg Address. Listen to the words. They're just as important as they were in 1863, when 51,000 Americans turned into casualties at the Battle of Gettysburg in 3 days. Of that amount, 32,000 were Union soldiers who were killed, wounded, taken prisoner, or missing. Abraham Lincoln gave this speech in November 1863 at the dedication of the Gettysburg National Cemetery. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived, so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a battlefield of that war and have come to dedicate a portion of that field as the final resting place for those who gave their lives so that this nation might live. It is all fitting and proper that we do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who fought here have consecrated it far above our poor powers to add and detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but they can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, to be dedicated to the unfinished work from those who fought here to have so nobly advanced that cause. It is for us to be dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that these honored dead shall take increased devotion in that cause with which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. President Abraham Lincoln, 19 November 1863, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Thank you.
You can take your seats, gentlemen. You go ahead and take your seat.
Okay.
Please stand, everyone. I'm going to invite Miss Paige Brooke to sing the Star Spangled Banner. Praise that.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, o'er the ramparts we watch, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets bright glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Take your poster. Have a very nice one. I got it. I like that better than what I heard at the Indy. Please take your seats, officers. At this time, I would invite Jerry Christopherson from True Patriot Care to come forward. What's that? Oh, hey, yes, hang on just a second, Jerry. I'm out of sequence. General Wendell, could you come forward, please, for the prayer? And a few words about Memorial Day. How you doing? Just turned 90. Well, 90 what? Just turned 90. Okay, I'll make a comment about that.
Well, good morning. As we're gathered here this day, we are paying tribute to the men and women who have made the supreme sacrifice of their lives to secure and to maintain our freedom as a free nation. Also, there are those who have paid a price on the battlefield of losing a limb or some other injury that has been lifelong. I want to share with you just a brief moment about the heroism of one man, my wife's uncle, Clarence. Clarence was in World War II as a United States Marine. In the heat of battle, an explosion took his sight for the rest of his life. Upon discharge from the Marine Corps and a blind civilian for many years, Uncle Clarence was always very optimistic. He was always a lifelong patriot. And when you were with him, he would look straight into your face, the direction from which you heard the voice, and you'd never know he was blind. The story is told that one day after his release from the military, a friend invited him to go to a roller rink. Of all things, a totally blind man being brought to a roller rink. And there used to be one just on the south end of Elmhurst. He got to the roller rink. They put a pair of skates on him, but what was he to do? He just stood along the side. And some young woman, I don't know if she felt sorry for him, came up to him and asked if he would skate with her. He hesitated. He said, "I cannot. I am blind." She insisted and took his hand, and they went around faster and faster and faster. And he kept telling her, "I am blind." She did not believe him, and she let go. And he went right into a wall. Uncle Clarence was a patriot. He never saw his wife. His wife was my wife's aunt. He never saw his children. And yet he was one of the best known patriots I have ever met. At his funeral, there was a military tribute to his heroism on the battlefield. Just a few weeks ago, I participated and spoke at the funeral of a brother-in-law, the husband of my wife's youngest sister. He served in the United States Navy, and in the Navy, he was on an aircraft carrier, and also a lifelong patriot. So we owe so much to those who laid their lives on the line and those who laid their limbs or their eyes on the line in order that you and I might have the freedom that you and I enjoy today. And we pray to God that it will continue on and on. And I'm going to ask that we bow in a moment, and I'd like to lead us in prayer as we do so. Our Father in God, we thank you for this day, a day of remembrance, a day to recall your blessings upon this nation, making it the great nation that it is. We pray for the men and the women who have served, and for those who have laid down their lives in the defense of our country. And Lord, I also want to add those men who wear the uniform of blue, our police force, who protect us, and for those who are firefighters and protect us as well. We thank you for this community that shows such a patriotism, for the blessings that you've given to this land. I pray this in the name of Christ, my Lord. Amen.
Thank you, General Wendell. He looks better than I do. He's 90 years old, but I'm gaining on you pretty quick, General. Great. Thank you very much for continuing to be a part of our program. I'm sure you've all seen the flags over by the mansion and around our ceremonial park here. And this gentleman I'm going to introduce to you right now is responsible for that. So he has a little presentation he wants to make. He is the CEO of True Patriots Care. Jerry?
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to do what we do as far as do our flag tributes that you've probably seen all around the area. A couple years ago, we were in Oak Brook for 9/11 and put up 3,000 flags, one for every person there. But today, what we're here for is we're honoring the 1,584 POWs and MIAs that are still missing from the Vietnam War. All those families have given their DNA. A few years ago, it was almost 1,800. So the families have given out their DNA now, so they're able to match up, and we're able to identify and bring home the remains and have closure for the families. Today, what I'd like to say is that there's 5 flags behind me that we had taken out of the field. And what I want to do is welcome them home. So the first one is United States Army Staff Sergeant Stafford Finger. His date of loss was 10/26/71. His date of recovery was 8/23/22. U.S. Army Private Thomas Green. His date of loss was 10/26/71 also, and his recovery was 8/23/22. U.S. Army Warrant Officer Larry Zick. Date of loss was April 3rd, 1972. His date of recovery was November 4th of 22. The next two are Air Force, Colonel Ernest DeSoto. Date of loss was April 12th, 1969. And his weapons officer, Captain Frederick Hall, both were lost on April 12th, 1969, and both were recovered this year on March 23rd, 23. Those flags are behind me, and we wanted to welcome them home. But also, the one thing that I can never say enough to all of our Vietnam veterans that are here with us today, thank you for a job well done, and welcome home. Thank you.
And now Sean Costello is going to play a special piece dedicated to these 5 veterans. At this time, I'd like to invite John R. Quigley, President and CEO of Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry, for a special recognition.
As you know, I always precede the reading of those we lost since we last gathered here on Veterans Day last November with a story. Sometimes I'm prepared, sometimes I'm not. And today I got a little surprise. Early this morning my phone rang, and it was the delivery man for Phillips Flowers, the one on Spring Road. And they have provided these wonderful roses for the ladies to take home today. When we are through with our ceremony, feel free to come on up and grab them. And he said, I got to tell you, that flag display was just amazing. I had to walk through it. And then he told me, my father served in the military. My nephew died in 2006 in the military. And when I mentioned that the flags were the MIAs and the POWs from Vietnam, he said a number of my friends were captured and served as POWs, but they were lucky enough to come back. And so that kind of heart-wrenching story, a delivery guy for a flower service, and that's how much that flag display meant to him today. So take advantage of everything you're seeing here today. The Veterans Memorial, the flag display, the crosses of those who have served and died. And remember, while you're having a great time over Memorial Day weekend, that it was bought and paid for by people willing to give their life in defense of our freedoms. And now those we have lost since we last gathered. George D. Arund, James Brennan, Edmund Boutros, Joseph Courtney, John Seck, Joseph DeAndrea, Reginald Darley, Harold Dennis Jr., Rudolph Diblick, Joseph Ilanich, Michael Finn, Roy Fisher, William J. Hayden, Wayne K. Hoffman, Richard N. Johnson, Jesus Suarez, Thomas Caro, Gordon Kolb, Thomas Kulik, Timothy Manders, John Mathiasen, Robert Millay, Bernd Monson, former police chief of Elmhurst, William J. O'Boyle, Joseph Piovano, John Randag, Fred Rauterberg, Francis S. Ravello, James A. Robertson, Henry Schupak, John Sema, Alan Simmons, Junie Simpson, Dennis Sluga, Gregory Stahl, Reuben G. Stortzum, William R. Tout, George Tully, Robert E. Vandenbergen, Stanley Watson, John W. Zimmer Sr., Thomas L. Zimmerman, Raymond A. Zamchek, our singer Paige's uncle, Michael Olivia. And last but not least on our list, Matthew Lee Whistler, grandson of Civic Hall of Fame inductee Darrell Whistler, and the son of Denise and Donald Whistler. As I ask you every year, keep them in your hearts, remember them in your mind, but today, leave them with a rousing round of applause.
And now we'll have a selection from the Chorus of DuPage. Thank you. Rifle squad, fire a 3-round volley. Bugler, taps, present, hooves. Order! Horse! Dismiss the rifle squad. And now another selection from the chorus of DuPage.
From the rising of the sun till the battle's fought and won, we will fight for the right and defend our country. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our pledge, our motto too. We're always ready, do or die. I Coast Guard, we fight for you. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, bum, bum, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine. Da-da-da-da. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day. To our last night on shore, drink to the foam. And till we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. First to fight, then to defend the nation's right, and the Army goes rolling along, roll along. The Army goes rolling along, and it's high, high, hey, the Army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong, for where'er we go, you will always know that the Army goes rolling along, along. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here we come, to meet our thunder, and boys, give 'em the gun, give 'em the gun. Down we dive, spouting our flames from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame, we're going down in flames, and nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. And those are the great armed forces of America. They serve America at home or overseas. They serve America.
Okay, you can take your seats, men. Thank you, very nice. By the way, all veterans in the audience, whether you're in uniform or not, are authorized to salute, regardless of whether you're wearing a hat or wearing a uniform. Congress enacted that law a few years ago. At this time, I'd like to invite our mayor, Scott Levin, up for some Memorial Day remarks. Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
I want to start off by thanking everyone who helped put this wonderful ceremony together, our parade. They're all listed in the front cover of your programs. I was going to do the Gettysburg Address, but somebody already did it. So I jotted a few notes down in the interim. Following the Civil War, this day was originally known as Decoration Day. It was a day to honor the soldiers who died in that war, a day to decorate their graves with flowers. And after World War I, Decoration Day became Memorial Day, and became a federal holiday only in 1971. we now decorate with flags and flowers the graves of all soldiers who died in the service of our country. Today, we're here to remember, just as we have in Elmhurst for the past 105 years, to take a day, just one day, to observe the sacrifices made to preserve our great nation and to protect our lifestyle and the freedoms that we so very much enjoy. These sacrifices are listed for us. Actually, if you watch the parade and if you watch our Boy Scout troops each carry a banner of those who died, who perished in every war since the beginning of our country. And let me reference those who died, not individually, but the numbers since the Civil War when we started observing Memorial Day. The Civil War, 650,000 soldiers. World War I, 116,000. World War I, 405,000. The Korean War, World War II, 405,000. The Korean War, 36,000. The Vietnam War, 58,000. And the Great Gulf War and the Iraqi Wars since 1990 and 2001 of 6,700 soldiers. Reflect on those numbers for a moment, please, and remember that those are the many, many lives who were lost to preserve what we have. In some wars, such as World War I and World War II, our soldiers lost their lives to protect everything we stand for, to protect our very existence as a country. As we observe Memorial Day, we can look to countries like Ukraine to understand what it's like in real time, what soldiers do to fight and protect the very existence of a country. In other wars, they've been fought to protect our interests abroad or to protect the freedom of others besides Americans. In any event, today, especially, we remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. I appreciate those who are here today who have served and those of you who have lost relatives in the wars. And I want to thank all the members of the public who were here participating in this ceremony and bearing witness to our appreciation for those who we honor today. So what should we do today? Let's reflect, let's remember, and give thanks to these soldiers. And then after that, let us enjoy the beautiful day that we have with our family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to introduce our officers to the audience. And when I call your name, please stand to be recognized, and then you can sit back down. First, I'm going to start with Brigadier General John Wendell, U.S. Air Force. Colonel Robert Brackey, U.S. Army. Colonel Scotty Venable, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Colonel Martin Jensen, U.S. Army. Captain Lori Tompos, U.S. Army. And we have Commander David Fry, U.S. Navy. Chief Warrant Officer 3 Tyrone Clark, U.S. Navy. Chief Michael Salavati, U.S. Coast Guard. Corporal Alex Bully, U.S. Marine Corps. Corporal Cameron Kasmar, U.S. Marine Corps. And the gentleman sitting on the end, Ed DePask, Korean War veteran. And I'd also like to recognize Jacqueline Lopez, U.S. Army. I believe this is the first time that the Army has outnumbered the Marines since I've been doing this. Normally,
Don't even go there.
okay. Usually we've got Marines everywhere, but it's good. We're glad to have you. Thank you for being here, and hope to see you next year. Okay, at this point we're going to introduce our Grand Marshal. So could I invite John R. Quigley, Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce CEO, and Ralph Pacciano, Chair of the Elmhurst Veterans Commission. Please come forward.
Today, without question, Memorial Day is the most significant day of the year in Elmhurst. John and I have the great honor to introduce the 105th Grand Marshal of our Memorial Day Parade. Please welcome Staff Sergeant Russell F. Caforio, U.S. Army, Vietnam.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here. My wife and I have lived in Elmhurst for 53 years, raising our 2 children, and they're both here with us today. They went through the Elmhurst schools. They and their spouses both graduated from Elmhurst University, and they're all here today with my 3 grandchildren who live in Elmhurst with my son. It's humbling and a great honor to be the Grand Marshal of such a solemn day, as we take time to remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, so we have the freedom to stand here today. We need to pause and thank God for them and their families who've had to suffer the consequences of these sacrifices. I was introduced to the military at 10 years old when my cousin was killed in the Korean War, and his casket was in my aunt and uncle's living room. My personal military journey started when I turned 18. At that time, there was a draft in this country, and we were required to sign up when you were 18 and keep the draft board advised where you were at all times if you changed your address. After finishing my education in New York, my first job was at a government facility here in the Chicagoland area, which gave a draft deferment. When moving here, I advised the local draft board of my address change. I went to the top of the list and got called for a physical. The Chicago draft board gave me a 4F because I had a bad knee and said I was unfit for service. After 2 industrial accidents within 8 days, both from electrical shocks of 4,500 volts and 70 amps, leaving me with a compressed fractured vertebrae, I quit the government facility and took another job. After a few months, I was transferred to Cincinnati. Upon changing my address with the draft board, I was called for a physical. Since I was carrying a 4F from Chicago draft board, I went to the physical expecting to go through the process and be on my way. Due to the situation in Vietnam at that time, they needed bodies. And sex was, you had to be in really bad shape to be rejected. Actually, if you could fog glass, you were good to go. At the end of the process, I was told that I would be on the bus to Fort Gordon, Georgia that night, or I would be AWOL. Well, I called my employer, met him in my brand new 60-foot house trailer, grabbed some clothes, left my new car, and he took me to the bus to Fort Gordon, Georgia. After base camp and advanced infantry training, I went to a newly formed non-commissioned officers school as they were running out of leadership in Vietnam. I graduated from there as a staff sergeant, E6. I received orders for Vietnam in February, got married in March, went on a short honeymoon, and left for Vietnam in March of 1968. I went to Vietnam with a promise of Psalm 34:7 imprinted on my mind and heart. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. I felt the hand of God deliver me many times as I was pulled out of missions several times within hours of our company coming within enemy contact. My company did not want to go without me, as they felt safe and protected when I was with them. I can only explain it as the hand of God's protection on me. Upon arriving in Vietnam, I met a sergeant that I had gone through training with. He told me he had just finished a mission where 140 men went in, 8 came out. Those 8 men were sent in the next day to pull their buddies out. That did not give me a comfortable feeling. I was assigned to the 1st Infantry Division, Big Red 1, as an infantry platoon sergeant. My base camp was near Saigon, and our company did daily search and destroy missions. Many times the B-52s would run bombing raids in early morning, and at dawn we'd go out to search and destroy and assess the damage. We'd trudge through villages, triple canopy jungles, rubber plantations, and rice fields. Each mission took several days. Each night we would have to erect a night defensive position wherever we were, with foxholes in a circle with 50 caliber machine guns mounted on the foxholes. We then surrounded the position with triple rolls of 3-foot diameter barbed wire. We also had 81 millimeter mortars and 105 howitzers in the center for combat support. We tried to use these night defensive positions in the jungle for several days, doing daily search and destroy missions and nightly ambushes. Our enemy was not only the Viet Cong. We had to constantly be aware of snipers, booby traps, landmines, snakes, and leeches. One day as we were on a mission, our whole company was stopped. We sent word up to the point man as to why he stopped. He said there was a 30-foot python with a pig in its belly, and he didn't want to challenge him. One night during a thunder and lightning storm, while putting up the 3-foot diameter rolls of barbed wire around our position, I was struck by lightning. I laid for several hours on the ground, trembling uncontrollably, not knowing whether I might die right there. I was given some medication, which did no good. I finally settled down and was able to resume activities. We had no other choice. God wasn't done with me yet. On what turned out to be my last night in combat, I was on an ambush with 9 men. We were set up along a known nighttime enemy route, with woods behind us and a large empty field in front. About 10 p.m., we heard activity. I turned on my starlight scope, and the empty field across the road was covered with Viet Cong. The enemy, an image I will never forget. I started praying and calling in the 81 millimeter mortars to start a ring of fire, of protection around me, and I said do it every 10 minutes from 10 o'clock at night till 6 a.m. when it got light enough that we could break ambush and go back to base camp. God preserved us through the night with a lot of prayer. That morning we had to tear down our night defensive position and move to another location after a day of search and destroy. We had to cross a creek on logs with our 80-pound packs. A log rolled and I ended up in the water, tearing the cartilage of my knee. Since we were in a heavily occupied area, enemy area, they could not get a helicopter in to evacuate me. I had to unload my M16 rifle and use it as a crutch until we could get to a safer area. A very painful walk with a very swollen leg and knee. When it was relatively safe, of which there were very few places, they tried to bring a hot meal a day out to us, and I ended up being evacuated on the supply helicopter. I spent a few weeks in base camp, went to R&R, and then went to Camp Zama Army Hospital in Japan for surgery on my knee. While in the limb ward in the hospital, the sergeant that took my place in Vietnam arrived in the same ward as I was in, with his leg shot off at the knee. Very humbling to see. He was very happy to be out of combat and said he could live a long time with one good leg. After a couple of months of rehab, it was determined I did not have enough time to go back to combat. So I was honorably discharged on Thanksgiving Day, 1968. And what a thankful day that was. Some memories that I have. Seeing these boots with a rifle was the way we had ceremonies at our base camp when we lost some of our men. Grateful for the flag representing the country, the land of the free because of the brave. Hearing and singing the Star-Spangled Banner has the same effect on me every time. I wrote a few verses of a reflection I'd like to read. Another Memorial Day, did you take time to stop and pray? Or just head shopping to the mall, forgetting those who gave their all? Do you enjoy freedom today? Ungratefully going on your way, forgetting what your freedom cost and the many lives that were lost? Thank the Lord you're free today. For it many had to pay. Remember, freedom is not free. Many died for you and me. Their families also have to pay, missing their loved ones every day. Remember, pray for them each day. They suffer loss in many ways. Enjoy your day, but don't forget, many you have never met gave their life for you and me, so we could live life full and free. I want to thank you again for the honor of being the Grand Marshal of this Memorial Day Parade here in Elmhurst. And to all my fellow veterans, welcome home. God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you, Russ. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you, John and Ralph. Please be seated. Well, my record is perfect. At this point, I'd like to introduce Sergeant Alejandro Lopez, U.S. Marine Corps. Saved you for last. He says he's the best looking one. I don't want to make the other guys and gals look bad. So welcome, and we'll see you here next year, right? Hopefully? Good. Okay, now if I could get the officers to stand and walk to your monument. I'll give you a second to salute or say a prayer, and then turn around and face the audience, please. When you hear your service song, please march back to your seat and take a seat.
I gotta get my boy wheeler if I go. No hard time. I'll listen. I went through.
Thank you. And this is Space Force. We're going to pause for 1 minute and raise the colors to full mast. All right, we'll have a wreath representing the American Legion and the Auxiliary. Commander, would you do the honors, please? Thank you. And now a selection by Sean Costello. Thank you. And now Crystal Forbes from Martha Ibbetson's chapter of the Daughters of American Revolution would like to read a poem.
Good afternoon. The American's Creed was written by William Tyler Page, a longtime congressional employee. He wrote it in 1917 for a newspaper competition that sought to encourage duty towards America. In April 1918, Page's composition was adopted by the U.S. House of Representatives. This creed exemplifies the duty that soldiers have aspired to by accepting the responsibility of military service from that time of our nation's founding to the present. This creed speaks to the values held dear by the Daughters of the American Revolution, the organization that I represent here today, which is why DAR members recite this creed at each of our chapter gatherings. Today, we offer these words to honor and remember those who now lay at rest for the sacrifice and duty they gave in their service to America. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy within a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. Thank you.
Now we'll have our last selection from the chorus of DuPage.
Still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget those who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Ooh. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains to the shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, hey, hey, that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget those who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land.
Please be seated, gentlemen. Now I'd like to introduce Ralph Bacciadio, the chairman of our Veterans Commission, to come forward for a special presentation.
Hello again. A brief history lesson. Today is the 31st Memorial Day program held at this beautiful memorial as it was dedicated on May 31, 1993. I have had the pleasure to chair the city's commission from the start in 1992 as we finalized fundraising, construction plans, and a groundbreaking on Veterans Day 1992. I have distributed many personal awards over the many years, and today I have one for Mark Mullner. Please come forward, Mark. I understand you're here. You promised me. He's on his way. All right. Okay. All right. Hello again, Mark. Okay. I have this beautiful plaque for Mark. The Elmhurst Veterans Commission always remembers Mark A. Mulliner, past representative of the Elmhurst City Council, for his service from November 2013 to April 2023 as a member of the Elmhurst Veterans Commission. Presented Memorial Day, May 29th, 2023, Wilder Park, Elmhurst, Illinois. Would you like to say a word? No. Okay. All right. Very good.
All I can say is that I'm so proud of all the people in Elmhurst and all those who sacrificed their lives, and we need to remember them today. So thank you all.
We're going to wrap it up here in just a couple of seconds. Jim, thank you very much for helping us put the program together in the park. But I want to thank another person in the Park District. Angela, are you here? Where's Angela?
Bill, I don't know if she's here. She might be working somewhere else for the Park District.
Well, I'm going to embarrass her anyway.
Please do.
They're a little short-handed at the Park District, and we normally have someone to help us from the Park District put the parade together, put the program together, and apparently that person took a position somewhere else. So Angela jumped in just like a trooper and literally on her hands and knees helped us put those crosses in. So I'll tell you what, I'd love to have her on my team, Jim. She's a can-do, get it done, and with a great attitude. There was no, oh, woe is me. She just jumped in and got it done. So Angela, thank you very much. Next time you have to hang around so I can embarrass you. I'm good at that, by the way. Also, I'd like to let everyone know that the post is open for lunch today. I understand they've got a really good deal going. So if you have time, please go there, have a drink, cool down. I'm certainly going to be there for a little bit. So I hope you can come by and say hello. Just say a few things to a vet. I know we'll have some veterans there. And like Russ, you know, this time of year brings a lot of memories back. And as I grow older, I have more of them. And it's a special time of year for us. So talk to a veteran. Just talk to them. Get them to talk. Let them spill it out. Every veteran has a story to tell. Every single one. Just spend the time to listen, and you might be surprised at what they've done in their career, whether it's riding trains, jumping out of airplanes, riding submarines, dropping bombs, whatever. Everybody has a story that wore that uniform. So at this point, General Wendell, would you do us the honors for the benediction?
Yeah, THB.
Who is that guy?
American Legion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Before I pray, I want to mention two other groups that are so important that we dare not take for granted. The police force and our firefighters. They are on the home front and protect us, and there are those times when they lay down their lives for our well-being. Let us pray. Our Father in God, as we come to the conclusion of this time of gratitude for the men and women who set aside smaller parts and even large parts of their lives to assure our protection, our safety as a community, as a state, as a nation. We thank you for those who have served, and we thank you for the families that have missed their loved ones while they have served. We are a blessed people. We pray for America to continue as a strong light to the world. I pray this in the name of Jesus Christ, my Savior, my Lord. Amen.
Please stand. Retire the colors.
Thanks, Brady. You got my vote again.
Arms. Order. Arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our program. Thank you for being here. See you next year.